the label on there, but this one is completely labelless.
I tried it. It was okay. Like you didn't really touch the flavor or anything, or like the like just like a fried dough ball. Like the middle was like.
I'm pool, so it should be there. Okay. Yeah. Arlington PD body cam release footage of a car dealership shooting. Yeah. Reporter is Matt Houston. No.
Probando sonido, 1, 2, 3,
Yes,
1, 2, 3, probando, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
So you see and hear me? Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure she could see and hear me. She never verified. Can you see and hear me? Check. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Check 1, 2. Okay, tell me when you're ready. Check 1, 2. Mic test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, thanks.
When he first stopped, and I was like, man, that would be enough name for video. Vimeo. It's like a YouTube. Yeah, it's really only. It's got some more options.
But you can play it off the website.
Well, it's just a download. I mean, it'll download like
All right, you guys need a white balance or a mic check? Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You guys getting good levels through the microphone? Check, check, check. Alrighty, good? Alrighty, cool. And just again, in case there were any folks that came in after I mentioned this, so we are going to be showing the portions of the video that we're releasing here on the monitor. You're welcome to record that. Afterwards, what I'll do is email everybody on our distribution list, and if you guys want me to email it to you individually, I can as well, a link to our Vimeo channel where we've also uploaded it. And from there, you'll just have to hit one button, and you'll be able to download it directly to your computer.
It's going to be the chief or somebody?
Chief Jones is going to be speaking to you. Yep, just the chief.
Tim, are you using the email addresses you already have, or you want us to give you a new?
If you're already on our distribution list, it'll go to you. If you want me to send it to you individually, just see me afterwards, and I'll make sure I get it to you.
You have mine, right?
Yeah, I won't need it. I can't. Yeah, I won't be able to play it and record it. I have to put it on this. Because it's a download. Our computers have.
Va a ser una combinación de. Lo que pasa es que si no hiciera ejercicio, güey, pero era de encima de 95, que es lo que pasaba.
Alright, Chief's getting ready to come in, guys. He'll make some remarks first, show you the video, and then we'll open it up for questions at the end. I still remember a few things.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here this afternoon. We're here to provide our community with an update on the recent incident that, frankly, could have ended tragically. But thanks for the action of several individuals, it didn't. On September 28th, approximately 6:24, a 25-year-old male, armed with a rifle, pulled onto the parking lot at the local dealership at 1100 block of West Interstate 20. This individual is a former employee of the business who had recently been terminated. Minutes later, he exited his vehicle and multiple shots at the lobby of the dealership, which was full of employees and customers at the time. Miraculously, no one was struck. As those employees and customers attempted to flee the building, the suspect briefly entered the dealership and the service bay area before returning to the parking lot near his vehicle. The Arlington Police Department was dispatched at 6:31. Officers arrived on scene approximately 6:36 p.m. that night. Officers immediately located the suspect in the parking lot. He was still holding a rifle at the low ready position, meaning he could have quickly began firing at any time. Officers took strategic cover and then engaged the suspect. 3 officers fired their service weapon, striking the suspect. We know there were still people inside the dealership when officers arrived who were still at risk. Based on the investigation, we believe the suspect pointed his rifle in the direction of the officers. I want to again note that officers arrived on the scene at 6:36. And at 6:38 p.m., the suspect was down and the scene was secure. The suspect was taken to the area hospital where he still continues to receive medical treatment and he's still listed in critical condition. No officers were injured. No customer or employee at the dealership was injured. We're now going to play relevant portions of the dash camera and body camera for you. The dash camera provides the best view that we have of the encounter between the officer and the suspect. You'll also see body cam footage from 3 officers who fired their service weapon. Although it does not provide a clear view of the full encounter, it does contain relevant audio. And we are choosing to release this video or these videos to be very transparent to our community. Finally, you'll see 2 still photos captured by a surveillance camera that more clearly shows the suspect carrying a rifle inside and outside of the dealership.
In a moment, you'll see that same video, but zoomed in a little more.
Good. So based on our investigation, we have charged the suspect with 3 counts of aggravated assault on a public servant, 1 count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and 1 count of deadly conduct. As previously stated, there's 2 investigations taking place. There's the criminal investigation of the whole entire incident and the administrative investigation to determine whether all department policies were followed. Both investigations are ongoing right now. For some additional background, whenever an officer fires his service weapon, they are placed on administrative leave for 7 days. That means investigators just had an opportunity to speak with them at the end of the week. Out of respect for those investigations, I will hold off on drawing any type of conclusion. But I will say this, based on everything that I've seen, this incident could have been much different and have a more horrific outcome. I am really grateful and relieved that it didn't. With that, I'll open it up for some questions.
Chief, what can you share about his priors? Why he was fired? Does he have any record? What can you tell us about him?
That we're still combing through that, still doing interviews. So we're still, the investigation is still ongoing. So I can't really get into specifics about his or why he was terminated. But what I will say is, we just have to figure it out. And once we get more information, then I'll come back to you later and provide you an update.
Chief, it is clear that from the family of the suspect that there was a relative of the suspects who worked there as well, a cousin. Is that someone you have been talking to? Is it part of ongoing talks?
So again, as I said, I don't really want to get into too much of the investigation. But what I will say is that was a complex, dynamic situation that we're dealing with. And our investigators are really still combing through the evidence. And once we can come up with a concrete conclusion, then, like I said, I'll provide you an update later.
How many times did he fire his rifle, and where was he shot?
Again, that's still too early for us to tell in terms of how many times he fired his weapon. We can say that he fired it, we know that, but we just don't know how many times at this point right now. As we continue to dig through the evidence and comb through it, we'll come up with something later for you.
What's the message you would want someone who just watched this tonight? What would you want the average person to take away from seeing this?
So this was a dynamic situation. This is horrific. It could have had a bigger impact, but I'm just so proud of the people who responded and who actually took action.
And so I may have asked the same thing, but the officers, every day you go to work, you never know what you're going to walk into when you put on the uniform every morning.
Our officers, we have a dynamic job. We come across dynamic situations every day. It's just, unfortunate for us, or fortunate for us, we're very well trained in how to respond. And the response was appropriate.
And where was he shot?
I'm sorry?
Where on his body was he
From what I understood, it's in the chest area.
Have you all had an opportunity to interview him?
No, unfortunately, based on his condition, we were unable to interview him. He's still in critical condition at the hospital.
Do you know if his gun was obtained legally?
That I don't know. We're still trying to figure out through E-Trace and working with our partners with the ATF to figure out where the guns come from. So right now we're still working through that.
Chief, in the initial flurry of information, it was said that evening that the suspect did not enter the facility itself. It was later, of course, realized that he did. Can you explain, was that just initially not being clear?
So I told you, this was a dynamic, challenging situation. When we got there, we had, you got to think about this. The business was up and running, and it was full of people, employees, and customers. So you have all these people fleeing out and trying to narrow their story down. And we didn't have all of the video, they weren't able to talk to everybody on the scene that night. So it wasn't that we wanted to give misinformation. We just didn't have it all to give it to you. But what I can say is that based on what we just released, we know he entered the store, entered the dealership. Not only did he enter the dealership, but he also entered the service bay. So, like I said, it was just a dynamic situation that night. And we were trying to give you as much information as we possibly could. But, as you know, scenes are fluid and sometimes things change. And that's basically what happened that night.
Was that the only weapon he carried?
Right now, that we know, that I know of, but like I said, we're still investigating. We're still going through all of the evidence. We want to comb through everything because I don't want to give you information that we don't have or that is not true.
It sounded like in the body camera video over the radios, you could hear someone with the department saying, we cannot let him break. Is that what they were saying?
No, it's saying they can't let him break. They break out of the, because pretty much we had a perimeter. And we didn't want him to start making his way through the city of Arlington holding a rifle and whatever. We already know that he fired some rounds. So he was a dangerous person, and we had to make sure we contained him.
And that was an officer who was on scene?
Yes, yes.
How many officers were involved and how many officers shot at him?
There was 3 officers that fired their weapons.
Was there anybody other than the suspect and the officers that fired weapons during the incident?
Right now, that's all we know. But like I said, that can change. We're still combing through evidence and trying to get a good picture of exactly what happened. But like I said, if we can get together at a later date once both investigations are complete, and I can provide you an update on both of them.
Is there an intention to eventually interview him when he is well?
Obviously, that's what we want to do because we really want to find out his motive and what was he thinking that night. But we can't until he gets better in the hospital.
Do you know if he was shooting at random or if he was shooting at someone?
We haven't been able to interview him, so we do not know his motive. But we know he was shooting.
How many times?
I don't know. We still, we just don't know right now. We are still trying to figure that out, and I think once we get all the ballistics, we can probably look at that and probably come.
Not the bullet shot him. How many times he was shot?
That I'm not sure.
Okay, one more question.
Do we know what job or position he held with the dealership?
That we don't know. All right, thank you.
And like I mentioned, if what I'll do here in a minute is to our distribution list, send out a link to that video so that you guys have that. If you'd like me to send that to you individually, I'm happy to take your emails. And again, as soon as we plan on doing some type of other update once both of the investigations are complete.